Good morning, Max. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Julien? How is Paris? How's the evening? What's going on?
Today I have a bit of a frustrating story. It's a very short one. I'm not sure we're gonna go very far with that. But I'm still surprised it still exists in 2023, so I have to vent about it a little, if you don't mind.
Well, vent away. That's part of our job here.
So, my kid's growing up, and one of my friend was bragging about this great tool he bought on Amazon. He buys everything on Amazon. And that's a clock for kids that makes a difference between night and day. Basically, the clock will, with colors and drawings and all of that, tell the kid, stay in your bed, there's still time to sleep. Or, hey, it's time to wake up. You can start calling your parents and jumping out of bed. I thought that's brilliant because sooner or later I'm going to have to remove the bar from the bed, and I'd much rather train my kid before she can run around the house while I'm trying to sleep. So I thought that's brilliant. Let's buy it. We bought one of the products. Yeah, quite a few products on the market for that. Didn't buy the same as my friend. Maybe I should have. We received it. I'm not going to talk about delivery. That went fairly smooth.
What?
Yes.
What?
Surprising, right? So I got that, and then the nightmare begins. The product is exactly the same as advertised. No problem here. But it has like 8 or 9 buttons. You set the time on the clock because it's a clock, right? So you need to set the time the first time you use it. The same insane way you do on your microwave or your oven. You know, the thing you definitely don't want to do when you have power cut because you know it's going to take half an hour for you to figure out how the hell this stuff is working. So same arcane system with a bunch of options which are great on paper, but it takes so much trial and error to figure it out. And not that easy to read, not that straightforward. You have to read the paper instruction manual. And once you finally get there and it's working and you test it in the living room and you unplug it and bring it in the kids' room, everything vanished because there is no battery inside. So you have to do it all over again. And once it's finally up and working and you start teaching your kid, you give up. I gave up after 2 days using it because when the kid is not sleeping and moving around the room and touching the clock, the simple touch of any random button would change the entire settings of everything. And I was just like, we're in 2023. We invented the iPhone many years ago. There is the Apple Watch. There are so many products that are so intuitive nowadays with you can do a million things with a simple button. Remember the iPod Shuffle, which was back in, early 2000? It had one main button and a small circle button around it, and you could manage all of your songs from just that. How come in 2023 you still have products with 15 buttons that require an instruction manual and a product that is meant for kids? The kids are going to touch it. It has cute drawings on it. It makes like, of course they're going to touch it with buttons that they can touch without any lock of any sort that they would mess up with the whole setup that is already complex with. So needless to say, on the next day that was back in a carton shipping back to the vendor. Great idea, well done product, terrible interface. And we don't very often talk about interfaces in that chat we're having weekly. It's usually about delivery, it's about travel, it's about website, it's about call center, but very little do we speak about interfaces. So I thought, hey, that's something new and frustrating enough. I have to vent about it.
Yeah. Wow. You deserve to vent. I mean, there are two things going on here. And the second one kind of seems the worst to me, which is I have buttons that a 2-year-old is going to be readily able to press. That's just going to screw everything up. I mean, that's just the word stupid comes to mind. That's just awful. Yeah. I mean, well, then again, maybe on page 87 in the instructions, there was a way, they told you a way to lock the buttons so she could touch it, but you're never, no, not even that.
Nope, nope. Because I read the reviews online, and all the parents were saying, "Why on earth don't you put a box or something in the back that you can lock it so that kids can't touch?" Because how do you offer a toy to your kid? Yes, it's not a toy for the kid, but that's how the kids would perceive it, right? That's a clock for them, and it's cute, so they will want to touch it. That's just a natural behavior of any kid on the planet. How could you build? Let's take one step back. How could you build a product that is so not made for the audience? How could you be so far away from your actual customer needs?
Yes. That we'll get to the other in just a second, but yeah, that is just so patently stupid design. I mean, it just is mind-boggling. Then you get into the 15 buttons and 27 settings and all of that. This is kind of like the conversation we had recently about the spa and the Arcane website, where, okay, if this is something that you're going to be doing 3 times a day, or you're going to be doing, you're going to be changing this thing every day or every other day or something like that, then okay, a little bit of learning curve to figure it out, I get. But dear God, the idea behind this is you're going to set it and forget it, and it's just going to run. So the idea that, well, it's kind of hard to learn, but once you learn it, it's okay, because now you've got it. You're never going to learn this thing. You're going to have to go through this anytime you want to make any kind of change or anything like that, or move it, or it gets unplugged, or there's a power failure because it doesn't hold its programming across the thing.
And I think a lot of that is also due to a lack of living with your generation. What I mean by that is, I saw my brother's car the other day. I have an old, crappy, second-hand car. My brother always has a latest, fancy car he can find. And nowadays you have more and more automatic car, more and more electric car.
Right.
You now have those fancy projection of your dashboard directly on the front shield, right? The windows, that you don't even need to move your eyes around. You have the GPS straight in your face. You don't have to look at your phone down. There are so many new features that makes your life so much easier that I guarantee someone who's driving one of these cars will never go back to a 1990 car, which is fully manual, where you have to get your window down manually, right? You can't go back. We are a generation of people who are getting incredibly lazy. And probably there's something wrong about it, but the truth is we're used to being lazy. If you create a product that has such a gap in terms of user experience with everything else you're using on a daily basis. Can you remember the TV controllers we used to have with those 50 buttons? Now I have a Samsung TV for the past 5-6 years. It has like 3 buttons on it, and it does everything it has to do, but I don't need to memorize and know what button does what. We don't live in that world anymore. I think companies have to understand that, because that's how their customers consume products nowadays.
Right. And they're going to be, you mentioned up front, you got a different one than your friend. It may well be that your friends solved all of these, and the guys you bought from, they're not going to be around that much longer. Because why would I buy, everybody's going to respond to their product the way you did, which is how quickly can I get this out of my house? I mean, there's no subtle advice here, right? It's don't design stupid products. I guess there is a subtlety here, which is companies just don't value design the way they should. We have a whole practice at Forrester about design, and that's because, more forward-thinking companies do a lot of thinking about it and working on it and worrying about it and trying to understand the right way to do it. And there's also a lot of companies that just don't focus, and the difference is stark.
I like the fact that you use the word focus, because I see a few learnings from that story. First, focus groups. once you have your product, you probably want to
Yes.
see how customers use your product in real life. Second, you want to think about how the customer is going to use it. They have a brilliant product. Honestly, it's smart, it's cute. My daughter loved it, but it just does not work the way it's intended because they didn't think about how the customer is going to use it. It may look good, but if it does not work as it is intended to, it's just a waste. So test your products, learn from your customers, see it in real life, and adapt to new technologies. Your product may have been beautiful 10 years ago. And it might be a product from 10 years ago, actually. They might just never have evolved the design. But it's just a shame because I was very happy to get this, and now I'm going to have to teach my kid on my own how to not wake me up in the morning, and that's going to be another challenge. I can't return her. So
it never goes well. It never goes well, I promise you.
Thank you so much for listening to me ranting again, Max.
All right. I wish this was one we had some kind of better answer for, but I don't think we do.
Unfortunately, yes. Thank you so much. Next week is definitely your turn. I wish you have a beautiful day, Max, and I'll talk to you then.
Sounds good. Thanks, Julien. Bye.
Bye.